Y'all, tell me why I was talking and I didn't even hit record. What the hell? What was I even saying? Okay, maybe it was meant for me to just get that out on my own. Okay, whatever. Damn. But hey, let me start over. What I was talking about was constructing your own way of life. You are moving out of religion. You're studying spiritual principles and constructs, astrology, esoteric stuff, but you're also learning that you can't lean on that too much. And this is going to be different for everybody. Some people may need that. Some people may not. But hey, if this resonates, then you'll know. Right? So, I'm speaking about this because that's actually something that I'm working through myself. Deconstructing a lot of religious dogma, even down to the intellectual habits that I took on. Like, for example, in my reality, my perspective, I have observed that people who are in religion, for some reason, they're afraid to step out of that because it requires them to let go of crutches. It requires them to let go of a structured, promised way of going to heaven, right? In spirituality, you let go of what you were taught in religion. You let go of all of that stuff. But even in spirituality, some people may use certain esoteric teachings and rules to create crutches. And some of us are meant to even let go of those things and follow the spirit, follow how you feel. And I am not talking out the side of my neck. That's what I'm dealing with personally. I didn't realize how ingrained religion was in me. I even had a conversation with someone who's still in religion, and she asked me, well, how do you live your life without some type of spiritual structure? And at that time, I didn't have an answer. Sorry, y'all, I'm looking at birds. Now, fast forward from that moment, I can say that I have to lean on intention, but not only that, I have to lean on my heart, which I'm working on, the heart chakra. And then you have to ground yourself in your positive self-talk, especially when you're like someone like me who's a perfectionist, who deals with black and white thinking, who deals with negative self-talk sometimes. So you have to counteract those foundational things, break it apart, and ground yourself in something different. And when I mean ground yourself, I mean create a habit. Create a habit and find a way to metaphorically sit in new thoughts. bask in it. I had to do that last night when my mentor told me that I was using certain things as a crutch, and that, I should have been further in my development by now. And how I took it through my filter and my lens was, I failed. I'm so behind. Right? It's like, I understand how I feel, but then I also understand my lens. I understand my narrative. I understand my story. And if you don't know what that means, look into your archetype. Your archetype will reveal your inner narrative. Or sometimes you may need to go to therapy. Someone who has studied Carl Jung, I hope I'm saying his name right. But, there's different archetypes. The nurturer, the caregiver, the destroyer, the orphan, all different kinds of archetypes. But because, like I was saying, I understand my filter, that's how my wounded self took what she said to me. But sleeping on it and thinking about it or feeling it, she didn't mean it in a way of a bad thing. And that's something else that I'm growing out of, looking at things so black and white. It's either you get it right or you get it wrong. But when it comes down to spirit and God, there is no right or wrong. It's lessons and pivoting. When I tell you I had to emotionally and mentally pivot so many times, it's ridiculous. I had to do a massive pivot this morning because I went to bed distraught and I woke up distraught, crying, frustrated. But I had to break the cycle and go stand in the mirror and tell myself, it's not that she wants to break you down. There's a teaching in this moment. You're not behind. You're right where you need to be. But get your shit together, right? Little bit by little bit. But get your shit together. For me, I have to tell myself that I'm not behind and I'm not failing. This is a learning curve, right? We all have learning curves. This is mine. You're right. You are right where you need to be. Even in our human consciousness, our human minds, we say, oh, I'm failing, or I've done something wrong. When in God's realm, you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything right. It just is. Just pivot. We don't have time to beat ourselves up. Pivot. You want to get to a certain place in your life, but you have to pivot mentally. Sometimes it's not even physically. Well, yeah, because everything is connected, but it starts in the mind first. You have to pivot up here, and then pivot here, your feelings, and then pivot in your actions. So now that not that I have to necessarily start over, but I have to pivot again and go back to how I was going about my days in a different season. I'm learning that I can't allow what's going on around me to dictate. Thank you. To dictate my intentions of the day. Don't allow what you're dealing with on the outside to dictate how you move. That's another major lesson I'm learning. You have to ignore what you see. There's also this other habit, visualization, that I am working through. But I feel like you let go of what you see in the 3D mind and hold on to what you see up here and what you see right here. Your vision for your future, where you want to be. Visualize your values, your principles, so that when you're in a position where you have to pivot, it's okay. Because even pivoting in nights where you're crying, where you're frustrated, nights where you don't know what the hell is going on, is a part of the journey, because you remember where you're trying to go. And sometimes where you're trying to go requires emotional strain. I know it sounds fucked up, but sometimes it requires it, because you never know the type of emotional strength and mental strength you're going to need for what you're asking for. Because that's another thing. When you ask for something, you can't control how it comes to you, and you can't control how it operates when it gets here. You understand what I'm saying? Thank you. Like, you can't control how it may affect you. You know? All you can do is control yourself. And in order for spirit, in order for the all there is to get you to where you want to be, is also preparing you for the emotional weight of what you're asking for, the mental weight of what you're asking for. For example, you want to lose weight and you want to maintain a certain weight for the rest of your life. That requires mental discipline. That requires emotional discipline. That requires physical discipline. Let's just say that you're prone to obesity, but you want to remain a certain size when you get older. You have been living between a size 16 to 20, 24, whatever, right? But like I said, you've been dealing with these sizes for most of your life, and now you're asking to exist in a whole different space. You're asking to be a size 9, maybe 8, right? But remember, you lived between a size 12 to 22, 24, whatever I said. You existing in a size 9 requires a whole different identity, requires a whole different mindset, requires a whole different you. That is a major pivot. You have to change what you're eating. You have to change who you speak to, because 9 times out of 10 the people you're surrounded by is enabling your obesity. Truth be told. You may have to change where you shop, because now you want to maintain a certain size. That also means getting rid of preservatives, getting rid of all the extra shit. You may have to change where you eat, but now you're thinking about your budget. That requires a whole different level of discipline. Now you have to learn about financial literacy if you don't know. So you see how many layers goes into losing weight and wanting to maintain it from one spot to another? It's the same with your spiritual walk. Especially if you don't even want to say that you're spiritual. You don't want to be religious either. You just want to be yourself. You want to figure out your own philosophy. Do you know how many pivots that's going to take? Do you know how many days you're going to want to quit and cry and wake up like, oh my God, I'm here again? You know how many days? Pivot.